many parents are looking to explain what they're seeing on television, what they're seeing on social media. What advice do you give them um, when they are speaking about police brutality, racism, as well as social justice, specifically when they see it on whether it's these devices or they're seeing it on the television screen?
Children are seeing a lot more than we think. And the danger with seeing the same frame over and over is that sometimes children think it's happening over and over. They don't understand that what happened to George Floyd happened once because they've seen it now 4 times. But if they're seeing it, and I'm hoping very young children aren't, that you're explaining what is happening without a lot of emotion, that this is a black guy, and black people aren't treated very fairly in our society, and this officer put his knee on his neck, and because of that he died. And we don't know exactly what happened, but because of what happened, people became very, very upset and afraid, and they became fearful that it could happen to them or people that they love. And because they want to prevent that happening from them or people that they love, they want to get the attention of everybody to say that this is not right. So they're taking to the street and they're holding up signs that says, listen to us. What's happening is not right and it's not okay. And what's so beautiful as we look at the protest, we see all kinds of people there, so many people, white people and black people and brown people. And this is how we come together to make a change because what happened to Mr. Floyd was not okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to leave that for one of my last questions of, there could be some kids who have seen the video of George Floyd, or the full video. Again, we don't know. Kids are seeing more than they have ever before.
Mhm.
Um, but you said specifically try to explain it without emotion. But for some parents, that's hard. That's difficult to be able to do so. How would
Mhm.
you be able to explain it to, let's say, if your kid was 5 years old right now, how would you be able to sit down and explain to them what they just saw on video with George Floyd?
And now I'm going to contradict myself because being a black mother, having an African American son, husband, brother, and friends, it is very emotional and personal to me. So I would explain to my 5-year-old that I'm very sad because someone lost their life in the most unfair and unjust way. That what we saw on television never should have happened. It was wrong. And it broke my heart that someone didn't care as they left their knee on another human being's neck until he died, to the point where he called for his mama until he took his last breath. So, what we want to do is to make sure that his life is not in vain. So, as a family, we need to think about what we can do, not only to honor him and all of the innocent people whose lives are lost by police departments, by other forms of death, sometimes just by being treated in unjust ways. What can we as a family do to prevent that from happening?
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, please.
Also, I do want to point out that children who see this video can be um, a victim of secondary trauma. They have watched an actual death occur on television. Even the adults are traumatized. So if your child has seen this video and you're noticing changes in behavior, if all of a sudden they're withdrawing, they're crying, they're becoming more clingy, their sleeping patterns and eating patterns have been interrupted, that you have to make sure not only are you there for your child, but you have access to mental health professionals so that the child and you can get the help that you need. These are not easy times, and what we're seeing is not normal, and we're all being traumatized.
Last one for me. Color blindness obviously is one of the things that are is brought up, as you were alluded to earlier. You could grow up in a community where your kid grows up and sees only people that looks like themselves. Never have to worry about playing with other kids that look like. It could be a white kid that never has to worry about playing with black kids, or specifically rather. What advice would you give to parents in that to say, hey, let's go and talk about a black man, a black woman, being white, um, Hispanic, Asian, what advice would you give them to talk about these issues and to bring up, hey, let's break color blindness and talk about their skin color?
Absolutely. And I love what you said. Color blindness does not exist. We see color. And there are some cases where it is actually a diagnosis, a person is actually colorblind. But in terms of race relations, see color. See color, celebrate it, honor it, make sure it's visible. Talk about it. Don't treat people differently in a negative way because of it, but it's perfectly okay to notice, because if you say you don't see color, then you don't see me. And the reality is, you noticed that I was Black the moment you turned on this segment. And it's perfectly okay to notice that I am Black, to notice that my hair is curly, to notice that I have brown eyes. And even in elementary school, we can become very comfortable with those conversations, to have children paint portraits of themselves using people colors or mixing colors to find the color that's just perfectly their shade, to talk about different textures of hair from straight to curly to kinky, to talk about different foods, to talk about different languages. How to say to your child, oh my gosh, how lucky is Adriana that she knows two languages, and to celebrate in a very positive way and to bring it out, because you know what? We all want to be seen. We all want to be recognized. We all want to be noticed. No one wants to be invisible. And that's what colorblind does. It makes us invisible, but in a very superficial way, because we see color, whether we want to admit it or not.
Last thing, is there one big point that parents have to get across to their children throughout all this? If there was one point, what would that be?
It's that everyone deserves a right to be seen as human, that humanity is everything. We all want the same things. We want to be safe, we want to be happy, and we want to thrive and make sure our families thrive. And it's up to us to create a world that allows that.
Are there any further resources or anything else that parents can read or parents can introduce to their kids?
You know that the National African American Museum, they have an amazing page in their website to help you talk to children about race, and it has games and everything else. Teaching Tolerance at tolerance.org, wonderful. Aha Parents, Parenting, that's a wonderful resource. Early childhood mental health consultation, Google that, it's a great resource as well. The Pyramid National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations have wonderful activities around equity and bias. So there's a lot out there.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this time.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for having these amazing, wonderful conversations.